Oh, of course, this is a Lionsgate movie, and I don't like the company that makes this movie, but I like the movie, so today we'll be talking about Hacksaw Ridge, a World War II movie. And why am I not showing anything? Well, that's because Lionsgate, if you show anything even of praise, they'll copyright claim your videos. Look up the Hellboy trailer. Okay, or even with freaking posters of the Hitman's Bodyguard. But other than that, today we're talking about Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge is a movie based off true events, so there isn't really spoilers unless you don't know your unless you don't know your history. There are still spoilers for what happens in the movie, but of course, if you know every single event in World War II, and you know all the greatest people in World War II, and all the people in World War II, you'll know more about this movie than I do, at least. I didn't see the movie, but you know more about the actual events of the movie in real life. So in 1920s Virginia, Desmond Doss nearly kills his brother Hal while roughhousing. He basically decides not to ever use a gun ever again. Doss takes a injured man to hospital, and they both like each other. So after the Japanese attack of Pearl Harbor, he wants to be in the army, but they say to be a combat medic, and his father doesn't know why. And Doss has been phase trained, and of course he refuses to use weapons, a gun. So Howell and Captain Grover attempt to basically make so he cannot be, and his religious beliefs do not constitute religious mental illness, as it does not, because if you believe in a religion, it's not a mental illness unless you believe in Bubsyism or some other weird. Actually, no religion is mental illness. Moving on. Despite being beaten night by his fellow soldiers, he refuses to identify his attackers and confused training. Doss leaves the units completed training and releases to leave. His refusal, he does go to jail. Basically, he has to go for the court again, and his father barges into the tribute by a commanding officer, now Brigadier General, that is protected by his Congress. And Doss's unit is assigned to 37th Infantry Division, Pacific Front of Okinawa. During the internal fight, there was heavy losses on both sides. Doss saves the right of Smitty, honoring his respect. At the camp for the night, Doss reveals to Smitty that he has a version for holding firearms that nearly suited his father, and who threatened his mother with a gun. Smitty apologizes for down his cowards, and the two reconcile. Next morning, the Japanese have another counterattack, and Harrow and several Doss's mates are left injured on the battlefield. Doss uses guides the dying soldiers and returns to save them, carrying the wounded to save them, praying to save one more. He saves many people, including the guy who was teaching him how to train and stuff, how to be in the military. He saves him, and they're not the ones to last attack without him. Because he saved like 30 people. Doss manages to see Glover and others defending enemy grenades. Doss is eventually wounded by a grenade blast, but after the battle is won, Doss descends the cliff, trusting the Bible Dorothy gave him. And then it shows what happened, and then after the film was over, it shows what happens throughout the film. War movies are usually great, sometimes they're really bad. There are a few really bad ones that have come out over the years, but this film was pretty great. I will give it 8 out of 10. The sound and all that is great. The CGI is great and all that stuff. And this has a lot of historically accuracy. Um, and then and one of the film was made accurate to what actually happened, so that's a good thing. And of course, basically, veteran, and also the movie raised awareness for disabled veterans and stuff, and the film did pretty well on the world. And it's basically the film grossed 60 million in China, and Hacksaw Ridge had basically good reviews as well. And of course, the actors were great as well, and more of the other parts were great, like the soundtrack and everything. So this film did 8 out of 10. And even critics here said it was the best war film since Saving Private Ryan. So it won Best Film Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Picture, was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Sound Editing, and those were the awards. I was nominated for 6 awards. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and goodbye.